Hi, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Eccentric views. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of video, review, reaction, re-review, commentary, ranking, listing, topic, randomness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under the video. So again, thank you, Eccentric Views. And Rocky 4, this is the director's cut. Rocky versus Drago. I wasn't a fan of it. Right off the bat. Now let me state a few things. I know people could say I'm enjoying the original Rocky 4 with nostalgia glasses. I know what Rocky 4 is. I've grown up with the film. I know it could be silly and goofy, and I understand that. But to me, that's part of the charm and personality that makes it more unique and different. And I sincerely enjoy that. That's what makes Rocky 4, some of what makes Rocky 4 enjoyable. That's what people don't understand with a lot of 80s films. I think a lot of people, a lot of like filmmakers and actors and directors and writers, they don't get about the 80s is that they're filled with either personality, charm, or this comic book aesthetic. Like, we enjoy comic book like Spider-Man. We know it's silly. It's a guy in a spider suit fighting a guy in a scorpion suit. But we buy into it and we enjoy it and we laugh only because Spider-Man does a funny joke, but you're enjoying it, you're into it. That's what a lot of 80s films were. But a lot of people in today's age think that if you have people maybe with 80s hair and clothes, maybe with some 80s songs, and then maybe with, I don't know, they play a Nintendo game. Boom, we got the 80s. No, that's why a lot of filmmakers and such fail. Because it's like they don't quite get what makes the 80s the 80s. A lot of times it's the little things that add up. For example, when I look at Rocky 4, before the beginning of the fight between Rocky and Drago, there's a bit where the Russian anthem is playing and the flag is going up. There's a bit where Rocky turns and the camera's on his eyes and it's focusing on Drago. Then Drago turns and we're focused on his eyes. And it's this personal connection, Rocky and then Drago. Rocky and Drago. No. You're just Drago standing there, and the camera stays, he just looks over here, cut the Rocky, and then it goes on. When you start shaving those things away, chipping those things away, you may, quote, try to make it more legitimate for people of today, critics or viewers of today. Good on them. That's their opinion, that's their prerogative, that's their taste. But to me, it's just how you take an 80s film and try to strip away some of the 80s charm. To me, there's no reason I would watch this over the theatrical. And again, to take a few steps back, this film will replace the original. The original will be there. It's not like the Rocky 4 original cut is going to disappear and we're not going to have it anymore, and then this cut's going to be out there everywhere and that's all you can get. If that was the case, it'd be like George Lucas with the original Star Wars. That'd be a different tune. I'd be even more angry. But that's not the case. The original's still going to be there. It's still there. This is a curiosity piece. If you're a fan of Rocky 4, I'm sure you, like I am, I'm sure you'll see it regardless of anything. Again, I had no interest because I already knew, based on the clips I've seen, I'm like, nah, I'm fine with the way Rocky 4 is. You want to try to improve something, improve Rocky 5, which apparently there's talk of that. I'm like, then why didn't you do that in the first place? But because Rocky 4 was the most successful Rocky film. Because Rocky 4 is a big part of pop culture. Ivan Drago's part of pop culture. If he does, he dies. Plus, it was obviously big enough to be a big source for Creed 2. Creed 2 to be based on it. Because nostalgia sells. Said that before, I'll say it again. Before I go further, actually let's get into it. The best way I could do it is tell the differences between the two, and why I like the theatrical cut much, much more. From the beginning, I have an issue with this director's cut, because the first 7 minutes of the cut is Rocky 3. The first 7 minutes is fucking Rocky 3, and I love Rocky 3, but Rocky 3 is Rocky 3. So we have 7 minutes of Rocky getting beat down in his first battle with Mr. T, him throwing the helmet at the Rocky statue, talking with Apollo Creed. Then you don't have the gloves. Remember the gloves doing this and the American one doing this, and nope, that's out. This is too cheesy. As they would say, it's too cheesy. It's too corny. And Stallone, I've said this, Stallone wants to be looked at as a serious filmmaker. He always has. As a serious actor, a serious filmmaker. So he wants to take stuff and do stuff and think of stuff in that frame of mind. Because he wants respect. He wants to be in the spotlight. That's why after Rambo 4, which ended things perfectly full circle, it literally ended how First Blood began. In my opinion, you cannot get more of a perfect ending than that. That's literally full circle. No, he decides to do another Rambo film. The terrible Rambo 5. And I love the first 4 Rambo films. They're some of my favorite films ever. I don't like Rambo 5 for a variety of reasons. But why did Stallone do it? Because his films were going direct to video. Don't believe me? Look at the films that were coming out. Bullet in the Head did not do well. Expendables 3 sucked. That was another film he wanted to appease the new audience, and they didn't give a shit. Because the new audience doesn't care about people like Stallone and Arnold and Van Damme. The new audience doesn't give a shit about you. I hate to say it, they don't. That's why they were not going to the Cows Come Home to see, which only got sequels because it made money overseas in China. And you try to incorporate that in Escape Plan 2, then Escape Plan 3 was whatever, just direct to video. Probably had a deal to do both films back to back or something. So I need a film to go into theaters. Rocky or Rambo? Do Rambo, because we had the Creed films. So back to the 7 minutes of Rocky 3. Some awkward fade outs. They get from one scene to another. Awkward. Remember the Rocky 3 at the end? The freeze frame? No, that's gone. Instead, like 7 minutes of Rocky 3, the fight ends with he beats Mr. T, and Sweetest Victory starts playing in the soundtrack. Now, I love the song Sweetest Victory. I always wondered, man, how come that's not in the movie? But they chose the wrong version. The wrong fucking version. People are like, there's 2 versions? Yes. Sweetest Victory is from a band named Touch. On their YouTube channel, they have a version of Sweetest Victory, which is a lamer, lesser version. And this is a comparison. Go on their Touch, Sweetest Victory, the one on their YouTube channel, Touch, listen to that version. Now go find Rocky 4 soundtrack, Sweetest Victory, listen to that version. That version is more of 80s guitar, which fits better. They chose the wrong fucking version. So, great, we got Sweetest Victory in it, and it sounds like crap. Because it's the bad version. It's like, wow, this song sounds off. Because it is. If you're like me and you wore the Rocky 4 cassette tape out, listening on your Walkman over and over again, I've listened to that song literally 100 times. I know how it sounds. I do a bit of deep dive. Wasn't that deep, but as deep as my dick. It's the wrong version. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. So they even fucked that up. How do you choose the wrong version? His touch probably told him, here, Sly, here's this version. It's so much better. No, it's not. The one on the actual soundtrack is the better version. Does he have a little bit more of that guitar? It just flows better. And then it goes to Apollo Creed in the pool. Because they cut out all the stuff with the robot. So they cut out Paulie's birthday. They cut out all that stuff. I like that stuff. It's silly. But, number one, I did, from what I understand, Stallone bought that robot because his kid had autism. And it was a robot that helped with autism. And he thought, that'd be cool to put in the movie. I thought in the movie it was fun. It's silly. It's goofy. But it was fun because it showed the extravagance of what Rocky is at that point. Because he is rich. And rich people buy a lot of dumb shit. I'm sure Gene Simmons and all these other people have a lot of dumb shit. And it brought some goofy fun that, with it and Paulie, that we could be entertained by. Because escapism entertainment. Which, that's barely a thing nowadays. Because again, people don't understand what made the 80s the 80s. But they want to keep fucking picking and poking at the 80s. See, yeah, I'm the weirdo. I'm the one out of a billion that actually looks back on those films and sincerely likes them. Not, oh, I like it because it's so cheesy. It's so corny. No, I sincerely enjoy them. I sincerely enjoy Cobra and Rambo 3. I sincerely enjoy Hard Target and Cliffhanger. I sincerely enjoy The Perfect Weapon and Showdown Little Tokyo. On its own merits. When it's trying to make me laugh and I laugh, and like Commando is sincerely trying to have a tongue-in-cheek quality to it. So when I laugh at the parts I'm supposed to laugh, I do sincerely laugh. Like Arnold's one-liners. But I also sincerely love Rambo First Blood Part 2. I'm like, huh, look how silly it is. That's Arrow. The C4. I'm not that type of guy. If you are, good. Obviously we disagree. Different tastes. That's what it comes down to. Different taste. There's a lot less Brigitte Nielsen, because him and Brigitte were an item at the time, and now opposite ends of the fucking planet. So he cut out a lot of Brigitte Nielsen's, almost all of her dialogue, most of her bits are cut out. I thought Brigitte Nielsen did fine. I'm sorry, Sly. I know you guys hate each other now. But I don't think Brigitte Nielsen was that fucking bad at all. I mean, you could argue that was her best performance in the film. She did fine as this Russian ice bitch of the Queen of the Beaches. And so Apollo Creed is watching the TV in the pool. You cut all the Paulie stuff with the robot. All that's gone. Stallone and the kids got the video camera. And Stallone's having fun with his son. That's cut out. Because you did this, there's only like one scene with the son. Because anything to do with the son at the end, remember when the son's cheering his dad on? That's cut out. Because the robot's there. So that's all cut out. It's just scenes with Adrian. So I'm like, wow, they completely wipe out that he has a son in this cut. Except one scene. Because I'm thinking, is he trying to do that? Oh, he's doing it because of robot. But is it also to make Rocky 5 make more sense as to why the son's so much older? That's not even the case, because the son's there in one bit. If that was the case, he would just cut that one scene out, because that's the only scene with the son in it. You might as well, if you want to link it to Rocky 5. Although, why would you? I don't hate Rocky 5, but it's a very flawed film. I've said that, I did review Rocky 5. I think the Warped version is a much better version. That's why I hear these toss, he wants to do Rocky 5. John G. Alvis, the director, passed away, and I'm sure MGM, which I don't know where the hell's MGM at now. I've heard they're going to be bought out by Amazon. Is that the case, or is MGM just out there standing by the hot dog stand waiting for someone to come by and give them money? I don't know where MGM, who owns the Rocky films right now. But Apollo Creed starts talking about, this is stuff for the history books. We gotta stand up to Russian propaganda. Where the fuck did this come from? This Russian propaganda and saying, this is politics all the way. What? There is nothing about politics. I mean, yeah, if you go with the us versus them, sure. Oh, yeah, I did that. But the way the dialogue in this cut, the history books to stand up for Russian, stand up against Russian propaganda. What? No, I prefer the theatrical cut because it was less about that and much more about age. Personal. Glory cannot be kept forever. Which is ironic because I could say the same thing about Stallone. And I love you, Stallone, but glory cannot be forever. And even when him and Apollo Creed are talking, good lines are cut out. Like when he's trying to talk to him, listen, Apollo, we're changing. We're turning to like regular people. That line's cut out. I don't know why. And then Apollo, well, where do we go, Stallion? Because we sure as hell can't be born again. That line's cut out. Which is stupid because, again, that goes into even more about what this is about. A man who wants to hold on to his glory, even though it's been far past its due date, far past its expiration date, far past that you may not be able to come back from it, which in this case Apollo Creed didn't. That was the whole point of this. It's fading glory. But now you take out dialogue again, where do we go, Stallion? Because we sure as hell can't be bored again, and we'll turn to regular people. You take that dialogue out, and then you add in Russian propaganda. And then Stallone is trying to make it so much more serious so that the critics and the people who don't like Rocky IV, they like it now. Whatever. Good, I'm glad. I hope you got the version that you'll like. Because at least I still have mine. So you got that. And at the end of the conversation, it's weird because they're joking at the end. Because they're friends. Because it is supposed to be, in their eyes, a exposition fight. Just a little fight for the shits and giggles. They don't know what's going to happen next. Okay, it's meant to be like a little fun bit of business. And in the theatrical cut, it's cool to see them joking as friends, see how close they are to each other. Now they're serious. I want you to stand by my corner. And that's what Stallone does. And then it cuts. So they're joking to be like friends. That's cut out. So the levity, the camaraderie, the humor, the scenes, bits that make us showcase more than they are dear friends, let's cut that out. At times, there's a little bit more Bill Conti music in this, including that scene there, which just felt awkward being placed in there. Also, because of certain changes, it seems at times more poorly directed. For example, remember when Apollo Creed and them have this talking to reporters, there's a bit when they leave, and when Ivan Drago rips the cardboard stand of Apollo Creed and it freeze frames, and then it fades. The freeze frame's gone, so as soon as he rips it, boom, quickly fades. It's like the camera, when Ivan rips it, the camera's going, oh, nope, we can't get to Ivan Drago fast enough, we've already faded away. It just looks more awkward. Like a bad cut. Like a bad edit. Like, oh, it's edited too quickly. He rips it. Oh, nope! Don't sit on Ivan Drago's face. That's what the freeze frame was for. Why would you cut that out? It makes it look more awkward, less professional. Again, there's certain changes, and the whole point I'm going, this is fucking pointless. Why don't you put the money and the time and do a special edition of Rocky 4? Do a commentary, maybe with you and Dolph Lundgren together. Do interviews with Dolph, Stallone, maybe Carl Weathers, maybe Vince DiCola if he wants to talk. Do a documentary. Do a commentary. Find behind the scenes. This little deleted footage, put it in a deleted footage bin. Or hell, make a Blu-ray and have both cuts of the film, if that's the case. Because one positive I will say, the picture quality looks good. When you see the picture quality of the cut looks rather good, I thought. Although, again, Sly, for some reason, this cut, in the theatrical, it's a lot of close-ups of people. Now, almost each time, it's more far-away shots. I don't know why. I don't know if he did that because the screen is much more widescreen. So if he had these close-ups, it would cut people's heads off and stuff. I think that, sometimes that's the only reason I could think of is why he does much more far-away shots than close-ups. Because it's much more of a widescreen with the bars much more prevalent. So if he kept the close-ups where the head would be cut off here, I can only imagine that's why. I can only imagine that's why. And I'm sorry, I prefer the close-ups. Just personal preference. And Ivan Drago, it's not like they give him 50 lines of extra dialogue. No. But he has more dialogue. And to me, that's not good. Number one, Dolph Lundgren was not as good of an actor then as he is now. He got better. Hell, by the time he got to I Come in Peace, he got better. He was starting off in acting. Before this, he had done like a little tiny bit role in A View to a Kill as like bodyguard number 4 or something. And the fewer words gave him more mystery, more intimidation, and the certain looks that he would give, and certain way Sly had the camera. There's a Sly, your first instincts back then, that's why you did that for a reason, Sly. That's why you did it for a reason. But no, it's like, we gotta do this and this to try to empathize and sympathize with Ivan Drago. Why the fuck do we need to empathize with Ivan Drago? That's not what made him a fucking icon villain. Because he was a fucking villain. It's okay at times to have fucking villains. Not every fucking villain needs to have this sympathetic, empathetic side to it. That's all. That sounds like almost, well, not every, but half the fucking Marvel villains in Marvel films today. What made Ivan Drago iconic? That's part of the fucking reason. Man, a few words, and each time he says something, it counted. His lines, they're very few, and they're very few because when they hit, you take notice. If he dies, he dies. I must break you. Now it's more. Like when Apollo Creed's dying, he's ready to give a fucking speech. The world will know my name. My name is Drago. 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 Like, shut the fuck up. And I don't blame Dolph. He was told to do it, and Sly did this edit. Why, Sly? Again, because we got... Oh, because of Creed 2. Fuck Creed 2. Creed 2 sucked. Creed 1 sucked. Yeah, let's have 2 films about an obnoxious, annoying twat of a lead character, played by Michael B. Jordan, who has his head up his fucking ass, and the movie's trying to tell the story about how he unscrews his head from his ass. He's obnoxious, he's annoying, he's irritating, he's full of shit, he's full of himself, he got... There's nothing sympathetic, and there's nothing empathetic, and there's nothing to feel sorry for. He had it made. He could have shitloads of money and all this stuff, and he'd use that. It's like Creed 1, a shitty version of Rocky. Only have an unlikable lead character. At times, he's doing training montage, and you have... What the hell was it? Sometimes trying to sound like a Ennio Morricone, Sergio Leone movie. Someone's training montage. Creed 2, a shitty version of Rocky 4. Well, there's another shitty version of Rocky 4. And like all these little stuff they take out. Like when Apollo Creed dies, there's a bit where Stallone looks up. And Ivan Drago's looking down. And Stallone's looking up at Ivan Drago. And Ivan Drago's looking down at him. And it freeze frames at Ivan Drago. Then it goes to the funeral. That worked because it's the truly first time these two have a personal connection, and they went into the fight hatred. Because my friend died because of you. And you said if he dies, he dies. That's a fucking villain. Anybody would be like, I'm going to hate you. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And Ivan Drago, with that look down, when we kids saw it, it was intimidating and a bit scary. Oh shit. That's a villain not to fuck with. Now it's, here's the armor, take the armor off. And have your pussy powdered. So you took away that personal moment? Why? For what? What about that makes it better? So then you go to the funeral, and in the theatrical, it was Stallone talking. And in my opinion, he was saying better dialogue. But now you have Tony Burton talking. Because we got to showcase Tony Burton. More so, we got to showcase the kids. Because Creed 2 is in the future. Creed 1 and 2 and in the future. And then Stallone talks about the warrior and... What, the Ultimate Warrior? No, different warrior. We're warriors. That sounded more cheesy to me than what he said in the original cut. To me, he made that cheesier. And then you had the boxing commission. What you saw in the trailer, you didn't miss much. Because in the trailer, there's a bit where, you know, there's one guy dead, and you didn't miss anything. It's pretty much them going, we're not going to sanction this fight. There's one guy dead. How about you wait till we learn more about this guy? Then Rocky walks off. And I'm like, okay, that's a scene that was deleted for a reason. It was deleted for a reason. You didn't miss anything from that. You didn't learn anything from that. Literally in the theatrical cut, there's one piece of paper that says they don't sanction the fight. That's all you get out of it, and guess what? It was a lot shorter. It was a lot better paced. So then he talks to Adrian. And they take out the bit in the stairs where he goes, to beat me, you're going to have to kill me. Which was a good moment. Good line. But then they take that dialogue and they put it later on when he's in Russia, and he's like putting up pictures, and we just hear it in narration. And it just makes it seem like awkward. Like, why is he thinking of this now? And when did he have this conversation? Now in this cut, you're going, when did he have this conversation with Adrian? When did he have this? Did he have it 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago? When the fuck did he have that? Why? Like, why? It makes me go, why? Instead, you have a lamer on the stair when Adrian and Rocky are talking. Adrian goes, you can't win. He goes, Adrian always tells the truth. Maybe I can't. Maybe I can't. And he walks away. And you don't... How is that better? Feel free to explain me. How does that better? You go from, to beat me, he's going to have to kill me, to, Adrian's always right. Maybe I can't. You do have the No Easy Way Out montage, only it's in black and white. Just if we don't have it in black and white, we're not going to know it's in the past. Because the audience, like, what? You think the audience are too fucking stupid to realize that? And then they... Again, they... Oh yeah, remember Paulie early on with Apollo? Is like, you like comics? Comics are good for you. Comic books? That's taken out. Because that scene was part of the bit with the robot. That was a funny bit. That's taken out. He has one bit with his son in bed. That sounded wrong, but I mean, he's talking to him. Then he says goodbye to Adrian. Which, okay, I mean, he should say goodbye to Adrian. But at the same time, I get why Stallone did that. And actually, I take that back. Because there's supposed to be this friction. And without dialogue in the theatrical, you have showcased, there's this... So I take what I said. Adrian and them, the fact they don't say goodbye, that is the friction. They just had this fight before, where she says, you can't win. And he went out, they're not speaking, he goes. And then when she comes back, that's when he's more pumped and then heart's on fire. When they're hugging and saying goodbye, there's less friction now. There's less of the stigma of, oh, what does Adrian think? She probably regrets what I'm doing, or should I somehow call her? Should I do? There's stuff you can look into with that. Not the case anymore with this. And instead, they steal dialogue from Rocky 2. Remember what I said a long time ago? Can't stop you from being a woman. Don't stop me from being a man. It worked in Rocky 2. I don't need to hear the same dialogue again. Now we're being nostalgia for Rocky 2. I just see why it was cut out. Because again, Adrian at the window and Rocky and her not speaking, that tells volumes. Oh wow, they didn't say goodbye to each other. That told me they have friction. There's awkwardness. That's going to be fixed later, hopefully, as it does. That way you don't have to explain everything. Sometimes people are not dumb enough. They can't figure this shit out. Sometimes you do show, not just tell. So it's better to show instead of tell. See, toss to Tony Burton. There's a lot of like little changes here and there. During the first montage, the music's still there. You still have Vince DiCola's music. You still have the two montages. Which again, that kind of defeats the purpose as well. You want to make this more serious. But you still have the soundtrack. You still have Sweetest Victory and Burning Heart by Survivor, and well, you've added in Sweetest Victory now, but you still have Burning Heart, you still have Hearts on Fire, you still have the montage of No Easy Way Out. That's what I'm like, if you're going to do this more serious version, the people who want to see more, they're still looking, oh, look at that music video, look at that music video, they're still looking at it that way. So again, what is the purpose at the end of the day of this cut? People who are you're trying to make it more legitimate, they still don't look down at this because of the soundtrack and the way Dolph Lundgren looks, and oh, he looks like a, oh, that's so 80s with the way people look and the way their bodies are. I mean, they're still going to look at that way. And someone like me is going like, why did you change this and why did you change that and how does that make it better? Even the montage, during the montage, what was cool was that one's in the elements, one's in the lab. So Stallone's working on his feet with the sled, pulling it. Dolph's working on his legs. One's working on his arms. Dolph punching people. Number one, you take out Stallone's shadow boxing, which was stupid. He's like outside shadow boxing. You take that out for some reason. I don't know why. And then I'm trying to remember if they had the bit where you have the line and you're doing this, which I always liked. I don't remember if that's in it, so don't quote me on that. But I do know during the montage, the first one, when Dolph is running, Stallone's at a punching bag. It's cool to see that new footage, him in a punching bag, but again, it doesn't fit with the motif because, okay, this is how you work your legs, this is how Dolph works his legs. Now this is how you work your arms, now this is how Dolph works his arms. This is how Dolph works his running, cardio. In the theatrical, you were running with the Russian guy driving to outrun him. Now it's running, now punching bag. I'm like, what? That doesn't work with the leg, hands, running, punching bag. I was like, okay, so that's not even with the rhythm you had in the first place, Sly. It's almost at this point, let me just change shit just to make this a reason to exist. Then you have this the Hearts on Fire montage. One of my favorite bits in the movie is taken out. Remember in the Hearts on Fire montage when you had the Ivan Drago picture and he crumples it up? Hearts on Fire. That's gone. Because we can't make Drago a villain. Because we can't have villains anymore. If they're just evil, that's one-dimensional. That's too one-dimensional. It's too cartoon. If they're just yeah, because we don't have people that are just fucking assholes. Listen, there's a lot of people in the real world that are one-dimensional as well. There are people who are just sick assholes or fuckwits or pieces of shit, pieces of trash, or they care about greed, or they care about whatever bad elements you want to think of. Let's just take that shit out. So you take that bit out. The one thing I forgot to mention, one of the only things I'll give credit to, is when Apollo Creed and Drago were fighting, Apollo Creed at least has a bit more offense. At least he's given a bit more offense to punch. At least he's able to do that. At least he give Apollo Creed a few more hits on Ivan Drago before he dies. It's one of the few positives I'll give it. So the end fight, I hate the punch sound effects. They changed the punch sound effects to be more realistic. I hate the way they sound. I hate the way they sound. That's just preference. And then every once in a while you have narration, like remember Rocky Balboa? When he's fighting at the end, and then sometimes you hear his narration. Puts that into it, which wasn't needed. Oh, remember when Paulie says, hit the one in the middle? But then Tony Burton says, yeah, hit the one in the middle. That part's cut out. Paulie still says it. I had to recheck it. Paulie says it, but then when Tony Burton says it, which was probably like, yeah, like it's a sense of relief and levity before the intensity rises up. You dip. It's like a balloon. You let the air out a little bit so you can fill it back up again. You let the air out again. to build it back up again. But no. The only positive I would say in this change is, I think in round 7, there's an... Number 1, Rocky... Well, 2. Rocky gets hit less times at the beginning of the fight. And in round 7, I want to say, Rocky throws a few more punches. That's added in. Okay. That's what? 15 seconds? Wins the fight. The speech is different. Now, yeah, the other Russians, they're not clapping. They're mad. People in the crowd are... There's less reactions in the crowd. There's still reactions, but there's positive reactions. But like the other guys, they're not clapping. No one is. Which they were in the theatrical. And again, the ending is just not as impactful to me. I like the speech at the end. There's a lot. It's more wide shot. To me, there's less emotion. It feels more bland and less energetic. And that's what one of the appeals of Rocky 4 is, the sense of energy that get lost here. And the ending is a perfect way to showcase that. There's a video I saw about, oh, this fixes the ending of Rocky 4. And I said, no, I think this ending sucks. This ending perfectly summarizes what this film did. Because how does Rocky 4 end? A jubilant, which I think is a noble effort. If you could change and I could change, we could all change. Yes, that ideal that we're all equals. We're all equals and we could be together. That's what we hope to strive for. And yeah, freeze frame. Hearts on fire. No. Instead, you have a more mundane speech, more faraway shots, no freeze frame, just the characters walk out of the ring to Eye of the Tiger. And I'm thinking, well, Eye of the Tiger is more Rocky 3. Why are we playing Eye of the Tiger again? It doesn't fit. It doesn't. The whole point of Eye of the Tiger is Stallone getting the Eye of the Tiger. He already had the Eye of the Tiger in this. I mean, that was the purpose of the song in Rocky 3 in the first place. And that's Rocky 3 song. It's fine at the opening because you're referencing Rocky 3, but... And then, in the middle of the credits, then Hearts on Fire plays. And why the fuck does Rocky give Ivan Drago a fist bump? He literally... Which makes no fucking sense. This is still the guy that killed your friend. This is still the guy that killed your friend in the rain and said, if he dies, he dies. And then, in Creed 2, you guys hate each other. But obviously not enough because you give each other a fist bump. And then, there's a reason why John Avildsen ended Rocky the way he did. With the freeze frame. Because he said, with the audience, when they went up, when you got to the hug, they're at the height of excitement. As soon as it went past that, the audience went like this. Not that they were hated, but their excitement, yeah! 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 And that's the point of the freeze frames. That's why John G... And that's why Stallone would do it. The freeze frame in Rocky 3 and here in Rocky 4. Yeah. That was the point. You get the audience excited and yeah. And then you get that... You end on a high note. But then it just crescends. It's a crescendo and it just peters out. As they walk out in Eye of the Tiger... It's the Eye of the Tiger. and we're walking out, and then we're walking out of the rain. And another little bit I noticed, at the end of the credits in the theatrical cut, it was cool, it was fun, it was novelty. You get the end of Hearts on Fire, where it's more of the score and da 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 da. And you have like the VHS cover, like Stallone with the flag, and you do like a pullback. Da. That's not at the very end credits anymore. So again, it's taken all of the 80s, or as much of the 80s as he could. As much of the 80s, I think even Stallone knew if he took out Hearts on Fire and, you know, No Easy Way Out, I think even he knew this would get even more shit talk. I will keep as much 80s as I have to, but try to chip away all the other 80s stuff. And people say, oh, he made a better movie. I disagree. To me, he made a more bland, boring version of Rocky IV. Stripped it of personality. So I'm sorry. I said this was a pointless endeavor. I said just take the money and make a special edition of the Rocky sequels. Documentaries. Commentaries. Sly, all this time you took trying to edit this shit together, you could have sat down and watched Rocky 2, 3, 4, even 5 and do a commentary. Documentaries. Edit a documentary about 2. Then edit one on 3. Edit one on 4. Yeah, hell, make one on 5. And all the stuff that was cut out in the original scripts. Your thoughts on Tommy the Machine Gun? This is such a pointless fucking endeavor. Just don't get it. Just don't get it. Sly, if this is your sensibility now in terms of filmmaking, I understand more now why the last 10 years have not been great with your choices. The people that you're so harsh on him. Yes, because I know he could do... I knew at one point he could do better. Anymore, I think he lost the touch. I think he lost the touch. I think he lost the plot. I truly do. And I'm being harsh because no one else is going to do it. And I want him to get better. If people want to spoon feed him sugar and not tell him it's shit, they just don't be eating shit and not realize it. So I'm sorry. If you're wondering, these are allergies. So I apologize for that. Now I understand why he would choose films like Bull in the Head and Escape Plan Trilogy and go back to Creed 2, go back to fucking Rambo 5. Oh, you could do this film with Jackie Chan. Nah. You could do this other film. Nah. Nah, nah, nah. Nah, nah, nah. Nah, nah, nah. How about Isobar? Remember that film? Or Hunter? Remember Hunter? Kind of like a horror creature feature. Na 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 na. If there's a Rocky 5 director's cut, I would see it because it's a very flawed film, and yeah, I like Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4 Balboa more than 5. So I mean that I'm like, that's fine. Mess with that one instead. Fuck, do one for Creed. But everyone loves Creed. Except me. I think Creed is crap. But yeah. Fuck this cut. I will never see this cut again. I have no reason to see this cut again. And it's a waste of fucking time. But hey, if you love Rocky IV, you don't want to see it, go ahead and see it and love it. To me, I thought it fucking sucked. I didn't. I will gladly stick with the theatrical cut. There's no fucking reason for me to ever see this again. To see Apollo Creed hit a couple more times, to see Rocky hit maybe 5 more times against... Again, if I combine it, 30 seconds, deleted scenes is mostly alternate takes that, to me, were weaker. After deleted scenes, a little conversation with Apollo Creed, a boxing commission, nothing of note. I just see why all this stuff was cut out. It didn't make the film better, in my opinion. I think Sly's first instinct was correct, which is why it became the most successful film of the... one of the most successful films of the year, the biggest Rocky film, and entered into pop culture. But he wants to listen to the people that don't really give a fuck about him. And a lot of these people, I love the 80s. No, you fucking don't. You can wear as many t-shirts, you can put as many fucking posters up, you really don't love the 80s. If you look at the, yeah, that's funny, that's goofy, that's cheesy, that's cheesy, that's cheesy, no, then you don't really love the 80s. That's like saying Mystery Science Theater 3000 really loves that. No, they're making fun of it as their job. To try to have fun with it doesn't mean they sincerely like it. Hence, doesn't mean they're a fan of it. And again, this new era, Sly, you're making this for people. Yeah, there'll be older fans who are tears to check you out and be like, hey, you know, cool, because I don't really know why. But there's a lot more. Stallone is trying to get this to more of a new audience. A new audience that doesn't give a fuck about you. That's why they didn't go see your last... It's not like Rambo 5 was a box office success. It's not like estate plan films were huge successes. Bad Trace. That's why his film started going direct to video at that time. Just like they don't give a fuck about Van Damme. They don't give a fuck about Arnold. They don't give a fuck about Dolph. Because if they release a new movie, either no one watches it or no one pays attention, or sadly, they mostly suck. So it doesn't help that they're not making much good product either. So that's part of the equation as well. When you make shit like Terminator Dark Fate and Bat Trace and even the last Mercer of Van Damme and shit, what can you expect? But anyway, I'll end it here. I've gone long enough. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.